Greetings, sacred beings, sacred souls. Welcome to Sacred HERstory podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Natasia, and today for our Sacred HERstory guest speaker, we have an incredible woman, Nikki. Currently, she's in the process of a beautiful, challenging journey of learning to love herself and accept love from others. Currently, she's working on her is it psych degree?
Yes, my master.
Okay, her master's with a goal of becoming a relationship coach, in which she can blend professional ambition with personal growth to help her navigate the complexities of, well, to help you navigate the complexity of your heart. This is her ambition. And she also posts workout videos to encourage others that it is never too late to start. And what you think you are incapable of, you will surprise yourself in knowing that you are surely capable of doing it. And here is Sacred Her. You don't need to be perfect, right? I'm over here getting tongue-tied. Welcome, Nikki.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sacred Her.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
You're
glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm honored. I'm honored. And I just love how you're coming in this process, right? Like you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have this degree, but you're moving forward in each day, every day, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Oh no, definitely. I was agreeing with you. Definitely, yes. I think it's beautiful, even what we go through, that we can learn to get up again and not reflect on the past as if I wish I could have, but as a learning, but self-acceptance, because we're all different people at certain parts of our time, and then it kind of just blooms where we're who we are and where we want to be, and even where we are now, it helps us to where we are later on in life, because that, obviously we grow with each step or each chapter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And thank you for expressing that so clearly and beautifully. And with everything that you said, there has to be a story behind it. So, where do you want to start? Like on this, here you are in this process, a student, a future relationship coach in the making, you know, share more. What made you want to go into becoming a relationship coach and pursuing a degree in psychology?
Like most of us, it comes from our own trauma, and I don't say that as sarcasm. A lot of my classmates, they come in with different stories of, ADHD and nobody understood me, or trauma, or this and that happened to me. We all come in to it. I know I came into it wanting to understand myself because I couldn't trust some to give that to somebody without it feeling that I was being judged. So by the time I finished my undergrad, I'm just like, wow, it wasn't, I didn't come out of it like, okay, I understand myself. I came out of it like, I can help others with this knowledge, while putting, having my own self aside and working on myself, at a different part, so that I can help others in different ways. Not, because we all go through things differently, and
Yeah.
some may have a higher level of resilience that others don't. So what I came out with, I was just like, everyone's different. I can't project my own healing onto somebody. They're gonna have their own process. And I think it's just beautiful how everything has come together. My master's is actually in forensic psychology. For that, we typically work with the courts or the uh, adult and juvenile inmates, uh, and we work more for rehabilitation, um, because I've always been interested in both. but I wasn't really someone that would go into law enforcement. And so when I heard about the forensic psychology program, I thought, oh, well, that's so great. We can still work and try to, help them reintegrate into society because I do believe in second chances. Um, and I want to give that back. Um, I want to let them know that, like, again, with me, I've come so far. It wasn't just my trauma, but my bad parts too, where I've evolved. And I don't, I see everyone brand new and we're human and we make mistakes. So I kind of want to give that back to them and say, like, whatever you've been through, I'm not going to judge it, but here's how we can work where you don't go through this cycle your whole life. You
Mm-hmm.
can come out and do something good and be successful in any way, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's a part of me that wants to give that, and then another part that wants to give it in working with couples and not so much therapy, but kind of coaching on the way we communicate toward each other and um, what patterns that we ourselves reflect toward our partners where we can be better rather than expecting them to kind of uh, bend or kind of be what we want them, mold them, kind of like acceptance in a way, kind of like accept you accept me, I accept you, and we have our flaws, but we can work on this communication thing and compromise in the middle.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I mean, I'm interested in so much, like I told you that we talked about. Um, so that's kind of where I want to go with that while I pursue the master's.
Amazing. Incredible. There was so many things you shared in it. And from it all, what I get is you have this incredible heart. So,
I,
and so
I
there's a story behind that, I'm sure. And you mentioned your trauma and your bad points. Do you mind sharing that?
so with me, I grew up in domestic violence. My parents, they were constantly fighting. It wasn't just verbal, it was physical. Um, and I kind of grew up kind of tippy toeing.
Hmm.
And, that could be very uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's all I've ever known. So even if I don't know you, I'm gonna tiptoe around you because I don't know what to expect. And so that's other part of my healing now is kind of like learning communication myself. And so through those years of going through all of that, I saw a lot, and it it broke me in a way where I thought, well, this is how marriage is, or this is how relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of went through life with that attitude where I would not really give boys or men later on in life a real chance. Like I would date, but it wasn't really where I would be serious and wanting to move in. It was just kind of like, you know, kind of messing with them because I didn't know anything else. I didn't know what a real relationship was. And for me, it's just like, well, if you're gonna hurt me, like I'd rather hurt you. So what that has taught me with seeing the domestic violence and going through that insecurity, um, is just to learn to communicate with others, and because that's an important part and of life. We're going to be around others that we get along with or don't. So for me that's very important. But yeah, I went through so much as a child, and my brother, he was like very young, so he doesn't really remember too much, but I was old enough to remember these things, and it kind of became ingrained in me where I thought these were behaviors that were acceptable. Um, Later on after their divorce, our stepdad taught us different. he didn't verbally abuse us. He kind of just like, this is not how we act. And, he was there to really help us see what a real family was. And, there were times with that where I was kind of jealous of him because, he had my mom's attention, or
Mm,
my mom, my mom was just like always with him. But, you know, I kind of saw him later on like not a threat. Like, this is my mom's, husband. And with that, there were times where it was because of how I grew up, it kind of um, I was guarded about how much I let him in as a dad. So it took me
mm,
some time, even after they got married, where I was just kind of like, I didn't think he was gonna leave, but it was just kind of like, if whatever it was, I was kind of guarded with him for a while. And but he turned out to be one of my biggest supporters, even after everything that I went through. Um, During that time, I had a really bad eating disorder as a I think I was about 11 when this started.
mm,
And he didn't understand it. But he was always there to comfort me. And he didn't really ask like what's going on in verbatim, like, or like that, or straight up. He would just sit with me, and he would spend time with me.
mm,
you know Even through all of that, he tried to do whatever he could in a way that he thought would better me. And I can't really blame him for that anymore. I mean, uh for whatever reason, they didn't put me through therapy as others would put their child through therapy. But I can't really say that he wasn't there. He was always there, but in a different way.
mm,
So there was this kind of period, like I said, I was having this eating disorder on and off for years. And it took a physical and mental toll on me at times. Um, it left me feeling tired and drained. And, uh, you know, when I would, well, because I was bulimic, so I would get frequent headaches, right?
mm.
He, it was kind of tough because now that I look back, it was more about the trauma. It wasn't so much about food or weight. It just became about weight. So I know I'm kind of going out of order, but
No, there's no
and then
order. You're just what you're sharing. I just want to put this out there before you continue is however way it unfolds is perfect. So,
okay.
yes. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Hmm.
So along with like seeing my birth parents physically fight all the time, I was sexually molested about 6 years old. And at the time, my mom was a single mom. She had already left my dad. And I knew she wouldn't like, oh, I don't believe you or anything like that. But I had already seen so much of what she went through that I kind of felt like, oh, if I add that onto her, that would just break her. So I
Mm.
kind of just at 6 years old thought I I was so tough that I would be able to like, forget about it.
Oh, wow.
Um, Unfortunately, it happened again sometime later, and then the third time sometime after that. And what, and that's what I think in this process of growing up is that I realized that a lot of that disorder was just the physical trauma or the physical abuse I saw and what I was doing to my body because of, I'm sorry, the sexual abuse is why I was doing that to my body. And, you know, another part of going into psychology is helping those that are going through the same things. Um, and my thing is that I also want to advocate for um those children that, you know, who are going through that, and maybe they're so young that the parents didn't really explain that these things happen, because I know my mom didn't, and I'm not blaming her, but how do you talk to your children about that? And I think that is something that we need to have some type of script or conversation with the younger ones, because we all know that it happens very, very early. And that's another thing, like, I hope to do with my degree is kind of come up with something that we can talk to our kids about this.
Mhm.
Um, so that it can, the prevalence of it can just, like, we can try and reduce this overall sexual assault and these sexual abuse cases. Um, that's another reason that I'm interested in this field and working with these populations, because I know what it's like, and I want to give that back, that you're not alone. And unfortunately, these things happen, but here's what we can do to work through them, rather than getting into ABC and kind of, making it a pattern of of these types of behaviors, whatever they are. And we're all not perfect. We're gonna have our things, but um basically with sexual assault, I mean, it creates so much. For my studies, it could lead to someone even being the perpetrator, because I mean, it happened to them, and God knows what's going on inside of them. And we want to I want to help eliminate that. Um it happening again, more than once, or that actually have them becoming that person. um it's something that it's very important to me now.
Wow. Um, Thank you for being so vulnerable and open about your story and your journey. You know, you're not alone in this, right?
Yeah.
Many women, many children, not just women, but even men or boys, you know,
Mhm.
um, were in situations like this. Was this someone that your mom knew that
No, no, it was at daycare. She had asked me if it was this specific person she knew. But I told her no, like, like, because she noticed right away. My mom was a single mom. She had all these things going on, but she noticed the change. And she kind of, she told me this is this and this is molestation. And I'm just like, no, nobody, I kind of, I was 6 years old, but she recognized it like right away. And then she asked me again at 10. She's like, I know something happened to you. You're my daughter. I know something happened to you. And I just couldn't, even in that safe space with her and my stepdad, I couldn't, like, I felt like I would be breaking her heart. And I thought, again, I can just forget about this. And you really can't, because now there's so many things out there, like, it it just staying in your body, like doing somatic work will help release that, because it really does stay with you in ways other than behaviors. It's the way you carry yourself and how you treat yourself or others. And that's what, I want to help, raise awareness about. Like,
yeah. But here's your mom. She's over here asking, when did you finally open up and tell her?
I didn't tell her. I never told her. And she passed away when I was 21. So it's going to be 15 years in August. I never told her, but it was until after a few years after my mom had passed, I had told my stepdad, like, this is what happened to me when I was, before we met you, before my mom met you, this is what happened to me. And then it happened again
Oh,
while while we're living with you, but it's not your fault. I wasn't trying to finger him. It was his fault. I was just kind of like, I felt like, not that I could finally trust him, but I just felt something that just like said to tell him, like, give it to somebody. And like I said, even after my mom's passing, he was still there for us. And it wasn't until then that I just gave my heart to him. I was just like, this is what happened to me, like, I'm trying to deal with this, and in my head I have these memories, and I still remember that sometimes, you know. And he was just he was just very comforting. He was there, and he listened. And I think that is when I decided, little by little, I started making steps in my early and mid 20s to start healing. Because before that, again, I was just like naive. I was just, oh, I'll get over it. It's fine. I'm tough. But you're not. You're not. We're all human. And it was just such a release. And give letting him be there and care and love me, because I was just such a tough teenager to, I'm independent, whatever. He,
mm.
I felt like, okay, I can let this go. So it was around that time that I started making baby steps to start my healing journey.
And what did your healing journey look like? What did you do? What helped you?
Oh, it was a lot of it was a lot of journaling. It was a lot of walks. It was prayer. Some of it was reading devotionals, and um it was just a lot of me time, because uh back then it was more about taking care of my brother, because my mom was an alcoholic during our childhood. So there were times where she wasn't there. I had to pick him up from school. I had to cook him dinner and things like that. And so after a while, like, after her death, I just kind of went into this depression where, again, I wasn't really, really taking care of myself. But it was until after I gave, all I can, I told my dad the truth, that I felt like this release, and I felt a little bit better. And I started taking care of myself a little bit more. And like I said, journaling, and years, I mean, like, again, baby steps, started, uh, got back into counseling, because I recognized that, I did need more than journaling and things like that. And I, even though I would pray, I felt like, I think therapy would do it, you know. So I that's when I started getting better, starting to talk to someone again, not holding it in. Even though I did pray and I did cry out, it giving it to another human being that could not give me advice, but kind of just be that ear, you know. It And they would kind of point these patterns out to me, where, that it made so much sense how I would get back into these patterns of depression and things, even though, I was slowly healing. Um, so I think I needed to hear that too, kind of again, a little coaching, like, this is, it's okay to cry. Just, get up, put some makeup on and do your hair. And, you don't always have to be happy. You're working through things, but slowly but surely kind of practice these things to get back out there, because at the time I was just always at home. Um, and it wasn't because I was afraid to go out. It was just because I felt like this, on and off this weight. And um, getting getting that help really got me back on track. And that's when I actually started going back to school. Um, because I had dropped out my junior year and I was about 22. Um, and then I went back when I was about 33 or something.
Mhm.
So that was really when I was just like so motivated and to be in school and to get it done, it was just like the perfect time. I kind of there were times where I kind of beat myself up, oh, I should have gone back or pushed myself, but no, I was right on time,
Yeah.
and God knows how I made it because that's all I did was study, study, study. I didn't go out for a long time. And um yeah, it's just been a thing, a journey.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for just being so real with it all. So, what happened between that age of, what is it, 22 and 33? You've
Mhm.
got this gap. So, what were you focused on? Where were you at? What space, mind?
I was I was I was in Austin. I was living in Austin, Texas, and I went there because I wanted to do improv. And I think doing improv, even at that time, it helped me. It kind of helped me come out of that shell that I had because I still had a shell. You wouldn't be able to get anything out of me right now. You'd be like pulling teeth, asking me questions left and right to get a story out of this. But it really helped me just come out and uh be alive again,
Mhm.
I guess in a way. Um, and then even though I did come back home to South Texas, it helped me here. I worked for a few years at call centers, which for a shy person is not your job. But for some reason, I end up at these jobs that are my personality, and I did fairly well there, you know. Uh, but being at a call center all day wasn't, after a few years, wasn't my thing. I eventually went back face to face. I was working with, sorry, at the workforce, helping people find the jobs, and kind of like the the improv and talking to people on the phone for like minutes at, like 20, 30 minutes at a time. It kind of helped me do that face to face where I wasn't nervous or scared, uh, or shy or anything. I was able to, help these people and, build a connection with the clients, just trying to help them get back up on their feet and, with my bosses and coworkers. So it was just, you know, it was just like that. And then the pandemic hit and I couldn't work at the workforce. So I was actually doing DoorDash and Uber Eats delivery during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so that was kind of like a challenge because then I went back into this isolation, um where everything was was dark. And I mean, I would talk to friends and family over the phone, but it's not the same when you're not seeing them in person. So for a few years I was just kind of doing that, and I saw this commercial on Hulu for a school. And even though I had Googled that school, but for some reason I got another school, and
Mhm.
I don't know what happened, but it's fine. The university I graduated from, I thank God every day for the enrollment specialist because she was just so kind. She was so patient and she knew what she was talking about. And she was like firm. She was firm with me on that last call. I had submitted, you know, um, employment information. I had done the whole application with her on the phone. And at the end of it, it's almost like she knew my pattern. She was just like, if if you're not gonna like go through with this, please let me know right now, because we don't have to go any further. And I felt like, whoa,
Wow.
I was just like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, for me, that was like, I needed that. I needed that at that time. So, so when she did that, I'm like, okay, this is for real. You gotta like take responsibility for this. You already went through all this. You can't flake out. So I
Hmm.
went through it, and I literally thank God every day. Like even years after, like 3 years after I enrolled, like she was the her personality and how, she just got me to commit, but kind of like in a way where like, don't waste my time. I'm here for you. We just did the whole application together. I'm going to help you with your financial aid information. Just, let me know you're sincere. And that's what really kind of, okay, I'm all in. So, I mean, some of us need that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
A tough love,
yeah,
or that conviction is what it
yeah,
sounds like. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a wow.
And she gave me like so much information on how to graduate earlier.
Mm.
And so while I was actually supposed to be getting my bachelor's this year, I got it 2 years ago because she had gave me all this information about taking extra courses uh during while I was doing university work to transfer back to the university and get that done. So I was just like, I was in awe. I was committed after that. I'm like, after all she went through, like I was committed to school. Like
Um,
it it nobody saw me. And now I think that gave me more confidence too. Kind of like um doing so much academic work and not giving up. It also reminded me of my own resilience, because there were times where I just, I went to like give up. Like there were so many problems uh that would go through, and especially during the pandemic and money and work, it was tough. But all of that, like I said, it just fell in at the right time, and it feels like the right time. And I don't feel like I'm left behind or anything. Even though I did it a lot later, it it went smoothly because of, yeah.
wow, that's amazing. And I
Mhm,
love that you just never quit. You didn't
mhm,
give up on you, you know.
mhm.
So talk about resilience and then coming back to going back to what you started and didn't finish to finish it, right?
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense? That sounds
Yeah.
like a tongue twister in my head. So you overcame so many different things. And so, I mean, even with the bulimia, like when did you, so I'm going back because
Mhm.
we talked about, the trauma and what you did to heal, but with the bulimia, when did you realize like this is because of the trauma and how did you move forward with that? Like, and was able to heal that, or was that kind of part of the whole sexual abuse?
It was with that too. It wasn't until like maybe a few years ago, honestly.
Oh,
Uh, it wasn't until I realized like there was nothing wrong with my weight. It was just I made it a thing where I would get anxious again, tiptoeing, because that was around the time my mom started drinking more. So we were kind of like on edge. We didn't know how she was gonna feel that day, or she's if there were gonna be fights. So that it was just like the food thing. It was just like a compulsion, and then I'm like, I'm not even hungry, and I don't want this on me. And that's where it really started. Just like it was a release.
it
You
was a
know,
release for you.
I know it sounds weird, but for me, when I had all that and I didn't know how to express it, my dad didn't believe in therapy. Like I said, he was there for me, but they didn't really take those proper steps
Hmm.
in getting me help. It was whatever it is about that. It was a release for me, like everything off, whatever I couldn't express, whatever hurt I had, I felt like that would relieve it. And that was just temporary, of course. It
Hmm.
wasn't a it wasn't healing. It's not a fix. It's something, it actually hurts you a lot more because of what it does to you physically. Like I said, I would always have migraines or my stomach would hurt or things like that. But I mean, I'm a kid and, we're living on edge. So it sounds weird, but again, it was just like in a way, it helped release whatever was going on at that time temporarily. And later on, as I'm, as an adult, I realized like, all these things that I did were because of how I felt and I couldn't express it. So that's also what prompted me to actually start counseling myself because I'm just like, again, I don't want to fall into the same patterns. Um, so yeah, that's how it all came about. It was
Wow.
basically not being able to express that pain, you know.
Yeah, I was reading back in some of the things that you shared. Probably you can share a bit about it and elaborate a little bit. Because even through this whole journey, you also shared that it was really unstable and you had some short periods of homelessness. What was that about, and how did you get through that?
Yeah, it was really around like 2020, 2021, where I really struggled in um I couldn't pay my home.
Yeah,
There were
COVID.
some months, yeah, there were some months where I'm like, it's my vehicle or it's my home. If I don't have my vehicle, I can't pay everything else because at least with my vehicle, like I said, I was doing deliveries. I could pay next month or things like that. So yeah, there were temporary times where I was homeless and then right before I started going back to school, a relative, invited me to live with her for a while till I got back up on my feet and that was a real tough transition, not just the homelessness, but when you're a lot older and you're living with family members, especially as an adult, for me, that's even what drove me more to finish my education because
Mhm.
that actually opened up a door for me to work at a rehabilitation center for uh, inmates that are on probation or kind of like a pretrial um, type of deal that they would have with the court. Like, let me finish probation instead of going to jail for 2 or 3 years or
Mhm.
going to prison because some of them had already been in jail. So the next stop was just prison. So a lot of that was, it did open up the door for me because of my education to go work there.
Awesome.
Um, so I was there. I wasn't working directly as a counselor or anything. My my position was more like a guard, kind of instructing them, their daily activities and things like that. But it did give me kind of like an insight to uh, being a professional in that setting and working with that population.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
really eye-opening, especially working with the women, and a
Mm.
lot of them had kids. So I would
Really?
see a lot of them, especially like Thanksgiving or Christmas time, they were so sad they couldn't see their kids.
Mm.
Um, so it at times, even though I'm a guard and I can't interact with them, I would just kind of like have to really keep it together because I mean it can be sad still
Yeah.
seeing a mom go through that separation anyway with their kids.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I mean, your story is just kind of like there's so many different layers in it. And then the compassion that you have, and that would be really hard. Like I go, as a mother myself, to be separated from my child, no way, I would probably go crazy.
Yeah.
you know. So, and you were able to just, I mean, it was your job, but, to have that compassion on them while also maintaining your composure at the same time, and how fortunate that your relative took you in. And I'm like, where was your brother and your stepdad during this time? I'm like,
Uh, my stepdad, he did get remarried. Um, and actually while he was before and after my mom passed, he was working with the government in Kuwait. Like he would put up like security cameras on their bases and things like that.
oh,
So that was something he would do, not only because he was ex-military, but because when he retired from military, he would put up the security cameras at Walmart, and I think they're called asset protection or something. So he would do that, or he did that after he retired from the army. So when he couldn't find a job, eventually they let him go. Um, because they wanted the younger guys. I mean, he was already a lot older, and he was fortunate enough to find this job. So after he came back, or after my mom passed, he went back to Kuwait and he was there for a few more years. But then, even after coming back to Texas, he did get remarried, and after, I mean, even then, I was already kind of here and working, and I still kept in touch, but it wasn't we weren't living in the same space.
got it.
Yeah. My brother, he got married. So he was off living his married life.
And where are you now in your life?
Um,
Well, we know you're going
I'm
to school and doing your master's program, but what else? What other beautiful things is happening in your world?
just well, I'm not married. I'm not in a relationship right now. I am in my own home after a few years, yeah. Thank God. I'm in my own home, so I'm, just getting adjusted to not having a roommate anymore. Um, and it's a safe place, but uh right now it's just a lot of me time. A lot of me time, a lot of friend time, every now and then. Um, Especially since uh the the workload from school is kind of like calmed down.
Hmm.
I'm just kind of, relaxing, and that's another thing about my Instagram. It's kind of the the workout videos. It's kind of like a me something I want to do creatively, and to give back to others, and kind of give them workout ideas or encourage them, because I know I'm encouraged by the workouts that I see on IG or Facebook. So it's kind of like a little project for me that I wanted to start, and kind of, again, just something for me, just putting it back out there into the world, I guess.
No, that's amazing. It's beautiful. So we are coming to, our time.
Okay.
So as we close this chapter of Sacred Her story of this episode, what is one piece of wisdom you wish your younger self had known?
Uh, One thing, and that's another thing I've been working on, what they call the inner child. So, one thing I started doing is, your parents love you, and stuff will happen in life. And what what I want to tell people is that we're not all perfect. Your mom or your dad, your caregiver, whoever they are,
Mhm.
but they love you. And, we're going to go through these things, but don't give up. Keep going and take care of yourself too. Take care of your heart and your mind and keep pressing on. I know that's something that is easier said than done, but as the old saying goes, it does get better. There's so much more life out there for all of us,
Mhm.
and it's a beautiful one. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Well, beautiful souls, if today's story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that you're not alone or you're not walking this path alone, I invite you to follow and subscribe to Sacred Her Story podcast. And if you want to connect with Nikki, her information to connect with her will be in the description. For this is where real women share their raw, unfiltering becoming, the sacred, the messy, and powerful. So thank you, Nikki, for allowing us to celebrate your unique journey of your truth, your love, and your sacredness.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. And for the audience, thank you for joining us for She is Sacred Her. That is sacred, highly exalted rebel. It is saying yes to ourselves and trusting in our own inner wisdom.